They're geared up for battle and waging war under the streets of London, taking on a monster that feeds on grease and garbage, a giant called Fatberg. It's a curious sight from street level, but there's much more to see down below, and for that, we've got to suit up.
Here we go.
London's 150-year-old sewers weren't built for comfort. It's a tight squeeze at first, but a cinch for field operations manager Natalie Stern.
Where London has developed and evolved, they've now put roads over the top of our sewers, so it's more difficult to gain access to our sewers.
And it's hard to stand the work environment, too. There's the risk of dangerous gases, not to mention all that slop and the visitors on the wall.
So the stench isn't as bad as you might imagine. The trick is not to fall in, because all that stuff is about as deep as my chest. Yuck.
The real monster's down that dark tunnel, the Fatberg. This one, 26 tons of solidified fat, grease, wet wipes.
Oh, there's a cigarette butt. What else is in here?
Condoms, diapers, and whatever else wasn't meant to go down the drain.
Just a solid block, almost of chalk consistency. There's just a solid mass of fat, wipes all congealed together.
In East London, crews spent 9 weeks tackling the biggest rock-solid blob they've ever seen. 130 tons of Fatberg. So big, it clogged the sewer and damaged the walls. It's the result of 19th century infrastructure meeting 21st century problems. That's how Waste Network manager Alex Saunders sees it.
The Victorians built a really good sewer network for us that we continue to maintain, but the pressures of modern living with our fatty diets, the takeaways, combined with using things like wet wipes, that's what causes the really big problem.
So crews have been sucking out the Fatberg and trucking it away. Some of it ends up here, a 4-hour drive from London, the world's first plant converting Fatberg into biofuel. We got a tour from Argent Energy's corporate affairs director, Dickon Posnett.
A tanker that comes in with, say, 20 tons in it, and we convert all that into biodiesel. We get the oil out of it, and the oil turned into biodiesel is about 20 tons carbon savings. That's got to make you feel good.
First, the Fatberg is filtered to remove the biggest solids. The whole process will leave less than 40% of the original material. What's left over ends up in the landfill, while the fat, oil, and grease is heated, then filtered again and again. This is one of the final steps in the filtration process. This machine uses fine particles of wood chips to filter out the little pieces of waste that are left from the source material. And what goes on from here is essentially oil that then goes on to be transformed into biofuel. The process can take a week. By the end of it, what's left of the Fatberg looks like this: clear biofuel that's mixed with traditional diesel, pumped back into a truck, and again taken away. Some ends up back in London, powering those double-decker buses, while the battle underground continues. Thomas Daigle, CBC News, London.
Canadian municipalities spend an estimated $250 million a year to bust up Fatbergs and clear away other unflushables. So they're trying to change behavior. Halifax made a video on how to bacon responsibly.
If you do have a lot of extra bacon fat on your hands, well, you can use it. For example, bacon eggs.
To keep grease out of the sewers. Last month, Vancouver recruited some star power to launch Wipe It, Green Bin It.
And, you know, they just dump it down the drain, and it's like, why?
And London, Ontario, asks people to collect cooking grease in cups supplied by the city. They can be thrown in the garbage or dropped off at depots to be turned into alternative fuel.